Hello, and welcome to the final part of the three-part Returning to Archery. So in part 2, we looked at the pre-draw, raising the bow, and then drawing. If you remember when we were drawing, we were using the back muscles. That's important because we're going to need to refer back to that again. So what we do after we've drawn is you then make sure that you've got a consistent anchor, that your hand is at the same place. Now you use a reference point on your face to make sure you do that. It's important you get that consistent anchor. You'll aim, and then part of the aiming we'll talk about the string picture, and then the final stage is the release. So first of all, the anchor. It's important that the hand is always in a consistent place on the face, and I tend to use the thumb of my hand, top of the thumb, against part of my jaw. So this part of my jaw. So you'll see when I'm drawing, I have my hand like that. It's important that you always use the same consistent point, because that then gives you one reference point for the back of the arrow. The front of the arrow reference point you're going to achieve by aiming. So getting the anchor point consistently is important. When you come to aiming, if you're shooting with sights, then you'll place the center ring of the sight on the gold of the target. If you're shooting bare bow, you do the same with the point of an arrow, but the point of the arrow may not be on the gold, it may be at some other position. But it should always be at the same place whenever you're shooting. So initially we recommend you start by pointing it at the gold, and if your arrows go high, then you put the point of the arrow, aim with the point of the arrow lower down, and vice versa. So now that we've got the front of the bow set by the sights or the tip of the arrow, the back of the bow position is set by your anchor point, but there's another reference point we can use for this, and that's called the string picture. So shown here, you'll see what the string picture looks like for me. I have the ring of my sight over the gold of the target, and then I can see the string as quite a blurred line going down across my bow. And what I do is I make sure that's placed at this consistent point on my bow. So I use the vertical cutout of my bow, and my string is always lined up with that. So that gives me another reference point. And the more reference points you have, the more consistent your shots will be. So once I've got that reference point, I'm at full draw, I'm aiming at the gold, and then what I need to do is I need to release. Now it's not letting go of the string, it's relaxing the hands. This is quite an important thing. If you let go of the string, you have a tendency to move the string as you let go. So instead, what to think about it, the way to think of it is to think about continuing that movement you had for the drawing. So you're still using your back muscles and you're pulling even further, but this time you're relaxing your fingers. So think about continuing that movement of your elbow around. Relax the fingers and release. And what should happen is the hand should move further back after the release. If you find your hand is in the same place, then rather than using your back muscles, you're holding it there and then letting go. You'll find you're getting much more consistent shots if you do the release in the correct way. So there are three common mistakes that many archers will make. The first is to lean back as they're drawing. Try to avoid the temptation to do that. Your shoulder muscles are strong enough and they are able to draw that string back, and so let them do that and try to keep that body as straight as possible. Don't lean. A second very common mistake is to let the bow arm shoulder rise up as you're drawing. Try to keep that as level as possible. And a third common mistake is to lean the head into the string as you're doing the aiming. again, try to keep that as straight as possible. It's important that you keep these things as straight as possible because then it becomes more consistent and easier to reproduce. So hopefully with those extra tips, when you return to archery, can't guarantee you will remember them all, but it should help you get quickly back into your routine. And any coaching advice you need, just please ask me. I will be shooting most nights.